Welcome to the Arizona Pickleball League podcast, presented by Jigsaw Health. It's fun to feel good. And now, your hosts, Ashley Leroux and the Orchard Security Guy.
Good evening, Arizona Pickleball family, and welcome to the Week 12 post-game podcast. I am here with none other than the Orchard Security Guy to talk about this epic match tonight.
What a night. Wow.
Yeah.
Number 4 taking over number 1.
Yeah.
There was some good playing pickleball tonight. That's for sure.
Really good playing. And speaking
Yes.
of, that's why we have our MVP, Monica Piekarski, here tonight.
Hi, everyone.
She absolutely slayed this evening.
Thank you.
Well done. I mean, this is your second match. You came in later in the season. You only had one under your belt here at the Orchard, and you became the MVP tonight. And it was so fun to watch you play.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
I'm so full of emotion. There's so many different emotions. So, want to cry, want to laugh. I don't know how to feel.
Maybe both at the same time.
Yeah. I think it's I just love pickleball so much, and that how much the sport has given me that, here, go crying, that winning as a team here, it shows that it's not about individuals. It is about going in there, having game plan, and coming out any way possible to win.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You nailed it. The team aspect, I think, is something that makes it so special, right? It makes you feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to see the energy between you and your teammates here tonight, encouraging each other and just grinding away and executing your game plan. And it worked.
Well, it wasn't talk about a rocky start. So tell us a little bit about, I think it was 6-1 to start the game. Just some nerves or whatever it might be in very first quarter.
Oh, it was?
And then you guys took timeout.
Yeah.
What'd you guys say in the timeout?
We just have to play pickleball. That is literally it. So I think this environment, yes, there is the time clock, but you have, I was like, we're not going to look at the time. We don't care how much time we have left. We're just going to keep playing pickleball. And that's all we did. So then we just kind of let everything else go. And then Tessa just became like an animal, and I was just like, my job is to set him up and get out of his way. And so that's what I did.
And stand there, get ready to Ernie.
Yes.
And you did it so well.
Thank you.
And that's the cool thing too. You're a team player. You're not worried about how many balls he's getting versus how many balls you're getting. You're there to work together and to do what works.
Right, exactly. So if something wasn't working, we weren't going to do it anymore. So basically, we had a game strategy. It wasn't working. Took a timeout, changed it, came back, and went on a tear. So
yes, you did. Speaking of, so you played the first quarter and the third quarter. It was 9-20 in that first quarter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, 20-9 rather.
Yeah.
And then 20-12 in the third.
Yeah.
So you had 40 points between the two to 21. You guys absolutely crushed it. I mean, you couldn't miss.
Oh, I did a little bit at the beginning of women's. I will say that 15-minute break when you play first, and then you have to play again. Your feet and your brain and your arms just don't all work together that first minute. So I also had to take another timeout, take a deep breath, calm down, and I was like, again, just play pickleball. So
yeah, and speaking of timeouts, we did notice that you initiated a couple of those. You knew it was time, and you weren't afraid to call it, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked almost like in women's when you did take the timeout. Krista's like, wait a minute, we don't need a timeout.
She did not want to.
And you're like, look, I need.
Yeah, I was like, I need one though. Yeah.
That's
because,
great.
Sometimes especially playing Cimarron and Dana, they're my friends. I play with them every week, so it's a different mindset I have to get into. I was like, I went to hit a ball, hit into the net because I see Dana in front of me, because it's not a competitor, it's my friend. And I was like, take the time out and realize you're here to do a job and you're here to win, even though that you're friends. You can be friends right after the match. So
it's kind of like that, put a mask on yourself so that you can assist others.
Right.
And of course that comes into play because your other job or your main job is you're a flight attendant.
Right, yeah.
So I think you're applying that to other areas of your life. And it works.
Yeah, this is way more fun, but yeah.
Right. And speaking of friends, it's like Takako of the Peoria Pythons said such a awesome little nugget of wisdom, and I'll never forget it. But she said, in tournaments, I don't see faces.
Right.
Because oftentimes you are on the other side of the net from a friend.
Yeah.
Because the pickleball community is a tight-knit group.
Right,
you
exactly.
know? And I have struggled with that myself. It can get in the way. So.
Yeah, for sure. Or it makes you like have that 3-second hesitation, and that's where you make the errors, because instead of just flowing through, you take that 3 seconds, change your mind, don't just go with the game plan you had, and then you're like, what am I doing? So, yeah. But I'm proud of our team. Like, I'm really happy that everyone got on board and everyone agreed that in order to win this thing, we have to be a team.
Yep.
End of story, done and done. So,
well played.
So I want to dig in a little bit more on quarter 3 along those same lines you were talking about, because this is the first time
yeah,
here that you've played with Krista, and she is from out of town.
correct.
You played with Dana Sim.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to practice? What
Yeah.
was the strategy? Talk us about what were some of the things you guys wanted to do against those two, because they were, what was their record so far? And
I think they won every single women's match.
Except
maybe?
for one.
I think they were
Okay.
3-1. They lost to the Pythons.
Yes.
Okay.
So not
May
only
2nd.
won, but dominated.
Yeah.
So what was the strategy, especially after the quick timeout?
Well, basically, Krista's forehand or her backhand is so powerful.
Yes.
So yes, technically it's a forehand, the person on the left's forehand ball, but I was like, you take them, like, and set yourself up or set me up, because yes, I can drop, but I can't rip that thing. So I let her come into my space and make it a shared space. And I think it worked out beautifully, because either they're trying to go behind Krista or then cause a little chaos. So I think it was a new shot, maybe like Dana and Simran weren't used to seeing, because I sure wasn't used to seeing it playing against her when we were practicing. So I think I was like, if you have a weapon, use it. And
Absolutely.
I'll be there to back you up or clean up or do whatever I need to do. So
You guys were a great team.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes like being the beta makes you the alpha in the team situation, if that makes sense.
It
So,
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know where I heard this from, but it's like, if the man is the head of the household, the woman is the neck, and the neck steers the head. So,
Yeah.
you know.
That's what I felt like.
That, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he hasn't heard this before.
Oh.
So what was that you said again?
If the man is the head of the household, the woman is the neck, and the neck steers the head.
Yeah.
Yes. So speaking of the chickens, I noticed you did something different, OSG, tonight. When both teams were out of timeouts, you went and confiscated one of the chickens and took it off the court. Can you explain why?
I do think the Scorchers had one timeout left.
We did. Yeah.
So they were trying to save the clock, which was a smart move with about 3 or so minutes left in the game to try to get some more points. And so when they pulled off their last timeout, I wanted to make sure there was no confusion, get the chicken out of their hand, put it in a safe place, brought it over here on the table.
I mean, there's
No
too
confusion.
much temptation to
There
throw
is.
it.
Right.
He had it in his hand. I'm like, I just took it right out of his hand. And
So you took it out of
Definite.
Matt Stagger's hand.
yes,
Now, he often cradles it like it's a security blanket out there. How did he react?
he was not happy.
I
I
didn't
mean, there was a couple tugs on it, but then I said, you don't have any timeouts.
Yeah.
It's done.
Release the chicken.
Let it go.
I mean, Tempe was smart. Like, I could see, like, the minute, like, they either, they were very conscious of the clock, and I could see them, they're like, we're going to take our timeouts here, here, and here.
Yep.
And so you can't get in a flow if, you take a timeout every 1 minute. So,
Right. Yeah, that was a
smart.
smart strategy. I mean, it was about all they could do at that moment.
Yeah.
Because you guys just had so much momentum.
right.
Ultimately, it didn't work.
Right. I will say that last minute of every quarter, chaos can happen. So,
Yes.
like, I don't know if you noticed, my team was not happy with me, but I took a timeout like 55 seconds in quarter 2, and they were not happy I did that. But I was like, I don't want something to, snowball where I'm like, we have a timeout, might as well take it. Then whoever has to serve now has to serve after a timeout, and that puts more pressure on them than just letting the train run, because you can get 10 points in a minute if you really think about it.
Absolutely.
So.
And actually, Ben Johns gave me a great piece of advice when I played my very first tournament. I said, do you have any tips for me? And he said, take all your timeouts.
Yeah.
Always take all of your timeouts.
Right.
I was like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So you followed that advice well, and who better to listen to?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed when you did play mixed, and you had a couple of them, maybe more than 2 or 3, we kind of camped out over there on the sideline.
Why not?
And Pessa, you got the court. And it actually, at least 3, do you remember? Probably 3 or 4. Is that something you guys had been practicing since first part of May? Because you haven't really been able to practice a lot.
Yeah.
Is that something, as you came on the team, you said, hey, guys, let's get together a little more often, whether it's here or whether you go somewhere else?
Also, because I know Simran's game, she has this amazing dink that will hit a right-handed player's left foot. And so I was like, she is not getting one of those on me today. Like, it is not happening. She already forehand rolled me in women's, which was absolutely embarrassing, but I was like, it's not happening. So it's in order to basically eliminate that shot for her, that's why I went and stood there, because it's she can't have it then, because I'm either going to miss that to the net or I'm going to flick it at her and she's going to hit me. So that was more strategy of who I was playing. But I do love to Ernie. I got to say, it's so much fun.
Isn't it so satisfying? And the ones you had were just so authoritative, and it was just beautiful.
Right. So I'm like, okay, well, if I get to do an Ernie, hopefully it's not coming back. You know what I mean?
You placed him well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your pre and post game rituals. Do you have anything that you do to psych yourself up, prepare your body? Any tips?
So I do a whole stretching and warming up that takes about 30 minutes before I play. And I also listen to the loudest music in my car possible while
that
driving
was you
here.
out there. Oh.
Yes. And it's definitely old school 2000s, R&B rap. And I just have to bump it just to get myself pumped up and get my energy where it needs to be.
That's awesome.
But I'm telling you, stretching is key.
It really helps prevent injury. And I think a lot of players, especially rec players, they don't think about it. I may be guilty of this myself, because you think, we're just going to play a little pickleball, and then all of a sudden you go to hit a backhand, drive, and you're tweaking your back and you're out for a couple weeks. And when you're playing at the level that you are, you can't afford to be out like that. So it's smart to spend the time.
Yeah.
The one thing also that we know Tempe practices a ton, and they're very strategic on how they approach their matches here. And I really thought you guys' plan coming into this was actually a little bit better, and you executed it.
Yes.
Knowing that they put such a good plan together and very specific on how they're going to play, you guys were able to adapt. And the plan that you had, whether it was with you hanging over there and Pessa do your thing, or the strategies. Is that something you guys spent a little bit more time on coming into this week than you'd had in the past?
I was all about it. That's all we did for the last couple days. We've been practicing every day. We are going to study our opponents, and we are going to execute what we have in our bag before they're allowed to execute what they have in their bag. So if we're one step ahead of them, then they're always going to be on the defensive when we can be on the offensive. So I think it was, if you don't communicate, you don't talk as a team, and you're not all on the same page, how are you supposed to win? It's just not going to happen. So
I have a question. Do you know if the team as a whole, the Scorchers, have you done more practicing since you joined the team than prior to? Because I definitely can tell a difference between, the difference between the teammates and just the energy. And it seems like it's just more together instead of just a little bit more, I don't know, chaotic.
Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you.
Because it seems like you're kind of the person that has initiated that. And I think it made all the difference out there today.
Yeah. Again, because you can be a bunch of great individuals, but the reason that Ben and Colin win everything is because they win and lose as a team.
They do.
End of story, done and done.
And they drill endlessly.
Mm-hmm.
They practice. They study their
Right.
opponents and all the things that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key to success.
Yeah.
And
So.
take their timeouts.
And they take
their time.
Well, they actually don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Now, when he was giving me that advice, I'm not sure that it necessarily applied to the number one player in the world.
Right. Yeah.
He's allowed to not follow that advice, but for mere mortals,
Right.
in general, it's a good idea.
When you're ahead all the time, you usually don't have to take timeouts. Maybe that's why.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Good point.
Well, on that note, this has been an epic evening. We are so excited for
can't believe
the
it.
Orchard Championship Cup next Tuesday. I'm sure you guys will be studying and practicing
Yes.
and everything pickleball between now and then.
I am going to take on Takako's lob because I actually lobbed tonight. So bring it on,
Yes.
Takako.
All right. Well, you know she's bringing it out.
Oh, I know. So I just have to figure out how to handle that because her lob is going to be something that, again, not everyone sees all the time. So
Yep, that's true, and it's deadly accurate too.
Yep.
Really good. Do you have any
Congratulations.
last parting words for us, OSG?
I do have some parting words for us. Pick 'em ballers. It was an unbelievable weekend this weekend, and I ended up trying several new life experiences. And I want to start off with the first one that was for the first time I went into a VPN certified pizza from Fat Olives. Okay, what is VPN? Focaccia Pizza Napoletana. Yeah. There's only one out of 96 in the United States. And what that means basically is everything is flown in from Italy. The Denominazione di Original Controllata, or DOP. For you and I, that's mozzarella. Freshly ground tomatoes daily. And even the ovens have to be flown in from Italy. Number 2, same weekend, was another exquisite establishment called Altria. And by the way, it is one of the few restaurants that is OSG certified. Knives, forks. I was there and I was looking over the menu and I thought to myself, why not try something new? So, duck with beet salad it was. Finished it off with an interesting bone marrow dish. Quite good. In which, afterwards, the staff suggested a bone marrow whiskey luge. That'll make your hair stand on your arms. But the next morning, I was sitting out on the deck, smelling the fresh cut grass being mowed on the golf course, having a puppy corn cobbing my hair on my arm, and a few bouts of some train brain. And I thought to myself, this experiment with new things is something everyone should try in their pickleball game. Experiment. Like, try a cut serve, maybe a two-handed backhand. Or try dinking either with a top spin or cut spin. Anything to help that game take it to the next level. But when you do pull off that new shot for a point or maybe even a match, give a little chef's kiss and say,